engaging in practicing it. Okay. The second point.
Stop right there for a minute. Explain the practicing part of it. I think that's important and what a lot of folks don't do.
Well, understanding that, okay, in that particular, you are trying to get them on the phone, getting FaceTime. Okay. In the car business, we had a lot of inbound leads. We had, people that wanted to, what's your best price on this?
Yeah.
And my next question would be, well, have you driven it? Well, no. Then what are we talking price for? If you haven't, you don't even know if you like it. When can you get here? When can we get together?
Right.
Can you be here this afternoon? Can we talk this afternoon? Emails, phone calls, all that stuff. Right. So getting FaceTime, getting on the phone, because it allows you, like I said, to start exercising that sales muscle, that sales process muscle, and building some sort of a relationship. That's your second equity point, that rapport building.
Yes.
Because understanding, if you do take the gig and you're able to kick them up and upsell them a little bit.
Sure.
Fine. Okay. Maybe you back down on the time, or, however many takes you do or whatever. Make it worth your time. But the person you're talking to is able to see what it's like to work with you.
Exactly.
That's tremendous equity, guys.
Exactly.
And it's like a lot of people just kick clients out because of the first equity point. Well, I'm not, how dare you inside? I don't crack my mic for less than $350. I've heard that from people.
Yeah, so have I.
I don't crack my mic. Shut up. Work them, man. It takes work. Okay, so they come in for second equity point where they're able to see what it's like to work with you, how great you are. The third equity point is the person that you're talking to typically doesn't want to stay where they are. Okay.
Sure.
Everybody wants to move up. As they move up, you want them to take you with them.
Gotcha.
To remember who you are.
Yes.
Okay. Because all of a sudden they're going to be an advocate. Fourth point. They're going to be your advocate. Next place they know. Because all of a sudden in your first point, you've already established that you typically where your range of pricing is. Now they know. So the next time a project comes down, I know Jim is worth between this and this. This is an ideal project for him. Let's go talk to him. And the fifth one is the fact that that nobody does this. Well, very little people do this. Coming back and asking for referrals or reviews.
Gotcha.
Can you shout from the mountaintops for me? Was this a value to you? What I did? Does everything work out? Do you need anything else from me? No, man, everything was great. Awesome. Great. Who else do I need to be helping? Who else do you know that I could help out?
People are scared to ask those questions. That's a scared mentality. And I'm wondering, and I'm sure it was because of you that you got very accustomed to asking the questions that you ask.
Yeah.
In your sales process that you have now, let me ask this question because one of the people that are watching has a question here as well. I'm not sure if you can see this on screen or not. But do you suggest using industry rates as a starting point for negotiating? What about the VO newcomer just trying to get hired? Should they charge lower rates to start out and then gradually raise their rates?
It depends on how they feel about asking for those rates, I would say. There's an element of fake it till you make it. If you can back up what you're selling with confidence, then by all means, go for the rate. It just depends on your personal preference. If you're able to get in front of somebody and know the worth of what you're bringing to the table,
right,
then ask for the rates. If you want to use the rate guide as one of your value points, well, typically industry standard is this. Use it as a posture if need be.
Okay.
MSRP is here.
Right.
The good news is I'm still kind of new getting my feet wet. I think this is a fair price for me. Maybe it's,
is that something you would say to yourself, not to the person or to the potential client? Would you actually say, well, I'm new, so I'm going to charge less?
I worked in the car business.
It worked in the
I was new for 6 months.
Okay.
Because, and there's a notion to where if you at least, obviously whatever you heard attracted me to what it is that you want me to do. Okay. Sure. If you're real with somebody, I think people enjoy it when you're authentic, when you're real. Okay. Absolutely. I'm 6 months into here. I'm not sure if I'm deserving or whatever. If they posture, again, it comes down to personal preference. If you believe you can get the rate, then start with the rate, but try and find, you got to be creative about backing it up. Well, how long have you been in business? You got to make a decision at that point. You got to tell them the truth. Yeah,
exactly.
I've been doing this for 6 months. Okay, so let me get this straight. You want me to pay you a rate that's incumbent of industry pros. You've been in business for 6 months. Why should I pay that rate? You got to figure out that's an objection. You got to overcome that objection.
There's one of my coaches, Lindsay Wilson, she has this way of saying things when it comes to sales. You might know, for instance, for us, what industry standard rates are. And you saying $350 might not roll off of the tongue very comfortably. And she has this way of saying, okay, what are you comfortable receiving? Now, what you're comfortable charging? What are you comfortable receiving? That's going to be the thing that you can say with confidence when you get into these conversations. Because if you can't say it authentically because you're not comfortable saying it, you're probably not going to sell it.
Right. There's an element in there's another close that I've learned, and there's a myriad of closes. You can download the Closer Survival Guide by Cardone, and it's got 120 of them. Some of them on the ridiculous side, but most of them pretty solid. He in one, I've heard a close called the fair win lose close, and I'm probably going to botch it up here, but having and this is particularly directed towards short sale items, cars, things of that nature, mattresses. When you got a customer that's absolutely hell bent on just grinding you, okay, and you'd be like, okay, are you looking for a fair deal, a deal where you win, or a deal where I lose? Because I like that. You don't strike me as someone who wants to see other people lose. Well, he said, of course they're going to say, well, I want to see you lose. Okay, fair enough. I'm glad that you're being honest here. What did I do, or what did this establishment do to make you feel like we need to lose? And that's a good question, because you're either going to get one of those three, obviously. I'm looking for a fair deal. Great. We're going to make this a fair deal. I want to look, where both of us win. Okay. And none of us lose. That's what I'm looking to do. I probably botched it up, but there's a better way. There's a guy named Jonathan Dawson that does it.
But what you said made perfect sense. I mean, how that kind of rolls out, and it's about being authentic. It's about just being real. Look, I got bills to pay too. It cost me, $500, $1,000 this microphone that I'm using, or whatever.
You know what? Nobody cares about the price.
Nobody cares about you. And I've said that so many times.
Nobody cares how much money I spent on training unless I make them care. That's in the value proposition. You got to put that forward. Here's the reason why, I invested, $1,000 into the mic. This is one of the most, the best mics out on the market. It's the industry standard. This is why, I have 20 years of experience in doing this. I am one of the go-to guys for automotive, now for, podcast imaging, for radio imaging. It's just, you're getting a good value, Mr. Customer. Okay. Right. And now you're going to see what it's like to work with me. And my goal by the end of this is to make you a raving fan. Yeah. And a lot of people just shut the customer down at that first point of like, oh, I'm insulted. You are my voiceover talent. Don't you understand where I come from, man? And, don't even get me like we're talking about union and non-union and, oh, God, get over yourselves. Jim, that's what spurred that video. Get over yourselves.
How is it that you came to know the genre that you should be doing? It's one of those questions that so many voice actors struggle with in the beginning. And even throughout, I think a lot of voice actors struggle with, what's my sweet spot? How did you personally discover what it is that you authentically ought to be doing in this industry?
Not to beat the dead horse of making fun of all the other people, the elitists out there, but I was a voiceover artist that came out of radio. Yeah. Automatically, I have that stench on me. Right. Oh, you came from radio.
That announcery type of thing.
You're not a classically trained voiceover artist, are you? You didn't go to the school I did. And all the different Yeah, I only had practice every single frickin' day. Yeah. And, 800 different categories of, doing a tag to having to do monster truck spots, auto dealer spots, then the jewelry spot. Yeah. Oh, that was just the first part of my day. What did you do? Yeah. But so that was basically, in the beginning, I think a lot of what a voiceover actor artist, whatever, needs to be is somewhat of a ham. And I think I've always had that quality.
Sure.
And, I'm a drummer, so I was always kind of flamboyant anyway. Getting in front of the microphone and letting her rip and not holding it back was kind of incumbent upon me from day one. I wasn't afraid to try anything. I listened to a lot of different voiceover people. We used to get the William Morris CD all the time at the radio station. So I'd listen to all these, amazing imaging voices and just try and emulate them,
Yeah.
My centers really started being apparent because of my production skills. So I was able to not only voice, but produce a decent car ad, right? Automotive spot.
Yeah.
Which then turned into concert spots. That was another parallel. And then, I was pretty decent at a conversational read, which oddly enough, I did what I thought was a conversational read. And like, yeah, you sound kind of announcery. I'm like, really? Okay. Let me really dumb it down and just sound like I'm being conversational. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Oh, okay.
I think, when you talk about the conversational read, it's kind of funny to me that term conversational in so many people's minds means one thing.
Yeah.
When we all speak differently in the conversations, depending on the mode we're in.
There was another radio guy that I knew. His conversational approach was constantly like this. Hi, I'm having. Would you like to get some coffee at Starbucks? Hey, I would like a mocha frappuccino macchiato. And yes, here's my app. Thank you very much. I mean, that's how he spoke.
Yeah,
that was his conversational.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's funny.
I started saying this a while back because being a voice actor, many of us audition way more than we book. That's just the nature of the beast. And I've said to people, look, yeah, you might be able to get into your feelings about this, which is just going to be detrimental to you. But what you have to understand is when people put something out for an audition and it's wide based, they already have the sound of their voice in their head. They don't know it, but they have the sound already and they're trying to find someone to match that sound. You have no clue what that sounds like.
Nope.
So the only thing you can do is be the best you that you can be because no one can beat you at that,
And even again, with the value proposition point of the sales process, meaning maybe you already get the gig. This is actually more of a point of showing how great it is to work with you. My personal rule of thumb is if I have an outtake or something else of value I can add into the session, I'm going to put it out there. Hey guys, if you can use it, here's something that came to mind while I was reading this. If you use it, if it's awesome, great. If not, no biggie. It's just deleted, right?
Yeah.
I give them probably about anywhere from 5 to 7 takes of a read, and always at the end to say, hey, if you need any rereads, just let me know.
Yeah,
it's value. I call it I have a hashtag, be them centric. Okay. Always.
I love that.
Be more about your client than it is about you. And so many of the the old dogs in this industry are so much about themselves that it's just, they don't understand they lambasted a guy who made $1 million over 5 years on Fiverr. Well, he's part of the problem. He's not having a problem. He made a pretty good damn living, dude.
He's not having a problem.
He made $200,000 a year doing this on Fiverr. Are you jealous much? No.
Oh man. Well,
technology Jim, is a freight train that's coming down the tracks and it doesn't care who's standing on them.
Yeah. There's no barrier to entry anymore. There's none of that. There's no gatekeepers anymore. It's you and the client. The only barriers are the ones that you make on your own.
And the other notion of it is, you're going to have value-based, low-cost operators. But that I think only helps you because you could say, there are people out there, you can get this for much less, but here's the reason why I'm able to cost. When I was selling a Mercedes, a certified pre-owned, well, I can get this car over at the Global Motorsports for $2,000 less. You look hard enough, you'll be able to find this car for less than that.
Yeah.
They'll just kind of look at me and I go, here are the reasons we're charging this. Blah, 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 blah.